this episode of Roadkill, we're going to show you the entire buildup of my 55 Chevy Bel Air.
With Hemi.
So here's how I ended up with the 55 Chevy. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine named Clay Baber had a 56 Bel Air. And it was a four-door, and it wasn't a gasser, but the body style left an impression on me. So that, and seeing the movie Two Lane Blacktop, just made me obsessed with this body style and getting one of these cars in my garage at some point in my life.
A year and a half. That's how long it's been since we ran up to Oregon in episode 8 of Roadkill and took his bare 55 Chevy body, plopped it onto a Jim Meyer Racing gasser chassis, and then came home and almost did nothing with it. And so now we're gonna force him to get it done. We gotta jam this thing together in 15 days in time for the Grand National Roadster Show.
So she looks different from the last time you saw her because all of the rust is gone. That's a fiberglass front clip, which we bought to shave weight. Here's the Jim Meyer Racing bitchin' gasser chassis. So far, we've moved the firewall back to actually fit the Hemi in here, started a roll cage, but essentially, it needs everything. So the car over the last year and a half hasn't had a ton of work done to it, but it hasn't exactly sat around either. It's got all new floorboards, which we got from Classic Industries, and had our friends at Hot Rods and Hobbies weld into the car. So we've got a solid foundation that we can now use to weld our roll cage into, which we got from Chris Dowson's Chassis Works. So the car is solid. It's basically a roller. The body is mostly intact. We've just got to do everything else to make it run. It's a ton of work, but it's not impossible. I predict a lot of all-nighters and broken knuckles and stuff like that, but we may end up divorced from our wives on this deal. But I will finally get to drive my car, hopefully on my birthday. Yeah, I mean, when you're gonna build a car in 15 days, you need a list, because you're never gonna remember anything, even with the list, but this at least keeps everyone on track. But the big thing is it reminds you need to order parts, because we don't have anything we need to build this right now, and it's day one, and we need the overnight stuff, basically. Wow, you're good.
The reasons that we dummied the engine in the car are, one, we needed to measure up a drive shaft length so that we could get that coming. And then we had to put the steering column in the car. And the main reason for that is to see what our obstacles are for making headers. See, the problem here is this is the steering box, and this is where this needs to go, and I'm not even lined up with the port. It needs to come up. Even this side's a nightmare. It goes straight into the frame rail, but way more workable than your side.
So our second major hurdle is figuring out how to build a set of headers for this thing, because nobody makes headers to put a Hemi in a 55. So we've got a bunch of bends from Hedman Headers. We're gonna chop them up right now and see if our engine location is gonna work with our steering. So this is our test pipe right here.
Give me the cold end.
If we make this work, then we can leave the engine where it's at and we don't have to hack up the rest of the car.
Which will save us days. Yeah, I'm worried it's gonna hit in here if we do that. Go like this.
I'll put a more of an angle this way on it.
Yeah. Right. We've never made headers before, but so far it's proving easy. All you need is flanges and a zillion tube bends and a whole lot of cutting, slicing, dicing, pie cutting, wedging, pizza cutting, and figuring.
And a great attitude.
Last night I had an epiphany about how to get that one header tube around the steering column, and that sort of broke this project wide open, because we were thinking we were going to have to drop the steering box or raise the engine or do something to get headers on the car. So Finney and I stayed really late last night getting really excited about building sets of headers, and we're trying to make them perfectly symmetrical on both sides, so it's got that cool gasser evil look. See, the deal is when you cut the tube in a straight piece, it becomes perfectly round. If you cut it off square in the middle of a turn, then it becomes a big oval like this, and there's no way to put them together. So that makes this more of a challenge.
They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. It's kind of what we've been doing here today.
Yeah, how many of those bends have we used?
Look, there's your Hedman Hemi into 55 Chevy header kit, and there's the mistakes.
Those aren't mistakes. Those are trim. Those are fine-tuning adjustments.
Just set it on there next to our new header.
That is gasser right there. Look at that.
Yay us. Yay us.
That's pretty big. That's something we have not done before. Yeah, they're definitely a gasser looking header for sure. They've got a little bit of zoomy action going to them, and then the gasser thing. Look at that. Yeah!
Oh man.
That's the reason we're here.
That is a giant engine.
I know. It looks even better with the headers, doesn't it?
Oh my god.
Wow.
It just got real. Look at that.
This side, not so impressive. This side, swing. There, okay. A lot of people think that we fabricate drama for Roadkill and we're always on a tight schedule and why don't we plan better? Well, here is the reality of our life. We're working on 5 different cars here right now that all need to get done before the end of the month. My 32 Ford there is going to become a roller to go to the Grand National Roadster Show at the same time as Finnegan's 55, which is of course the major project. Then we've also got the muscle truck that's getting MSD fuel injection on it for an editorial story. And over here, we've got my Super B and Crusher Camaro that Grant is prepping to take to the drag strip next week. Actually, yeah, which is going to take 3 days out of the schedule to go have to test those 2 things.
That's talking more working. There are 11 days left in order to complete the entire car. And so I needed help. Right now, video guy Mark is TIG welding the headers that we built the other day. My buddy Todd is helping me fit the fiberglass front clip on this thing. And it'll be a big accomplishment if today we can make that thing tilt. I think we have to cut it back here.
We're having a problem fitting the front end. The fiberglass seems like really rigid over here and it doesn't fit as well as it used to. And we're thinking it's because we tried to dry that fiberglass resin with a heat gun and it might have warped the glass a little bit right there. And so Todd's gonna grind on it and try and make it a little bit more supple, see if we can fit it again. Yeah. Ready? Does it hit? And yes, big time. Oop, but. Yeah.
Look at that. That is cool. I need to sit behind the wheel. That is so evil looking.
Pretty cool. That's way too high.
Way too high, but I get to see. The next big moment will be firing it off.
Yeah.
We finished the headers, we were dead tired, but we loaded the engine up and took it straight to the dyno. The dyno has its own cooling system, which the guys hooked up because we thought we were really close to getting ready to fire the engine up, but the moment they turned the water onto the engine, a hole magically appeared in the water pump, and it's just peeing out onto the floor of the dyno cell, which is no good. So we're gonna have to go buy a new water pump. $680 pound-feet of torque. That's gonna be fun. Now that it's broken, we're gonna drain the oil out of it, cut the oil filter open. That's gonna give us a good visual check of how the bearings are doing in this thing right now. And if this thing is full of, metal, basically your engine's eating itself alive and you need to take it apart and start over. Ours is not doing that. So we get to keep going with this build. Well, I'm at a loss right now. We broke the engine in, made a couple of power pulls to 6,000 RPM, made great power, and it puffed a little bit of smoke out of one breather at the end of a pull. Changed the oil, fired it back up, it's down on power and smoking out of the breathers as if it's wounded. But we did a compression check and it checked out fine. We cut the oil filter up, drained the oil. Everything looks fine. So I don't know what's going on. Every dyno test is an emotional roller coaster. Strap the engine down, cross your fingers that it's gonna run properly and that the work you've done is correct. 5 hours ago, we found blown head gaskets. Engine's back together now. Hopefully we're heroes. We broke it, we fixed it, and made more power than I actually even requested. Not bad. It was an amazing feeling of accomplishment to overcome that obstacle. We made 700 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque. The problem was our one-day dyno test took 2 days, and now there was no hope of making the Roadster show.
When Finnegan brought the engine back from the dyno, we had the body off of the chassis. We needed to paint the underside and do some things like that. And so we were able to mock the engine in and finally get in our bitchin' T56 Magnum transmission, which is a double overdrive 6-speed from American Powertrain. When May 2014 rolled around, we still had not touched the car since our debacle at the Grand National Roadster Show. But we had another scheme. We were going to drive it to the very beginning of the Hot Rod Power Tour event in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And the honest to God truth is, I'm gonna ignore this because this is everything we have to do. I have done things. The actual engine is in the car. Right now, my buddy Todd Griggs is 10 feet in the air sanding the dash because you need to sand the dash to drive, right? All right, so we've got wiring, plumbing, brakes, fuel system, lots to do. Let's go to work.
This is not even close to the complete
Registration.
list.
I've insured it. It's got insurance, just doesn't have registration.
Yeah.
I'm mocking up our new gas tank. And this is a stealth tank from Aeromotive. It's a brand new gas tank that's powder coated and has a fuel pump built into it that will support 900 horsepower worth of naturally aspirated engine. Way more than I need. So I bought 2 stock filler necks. I'm gonna pie cut them right around here, weld them back together so that we can reach from here to here. And then Freiburger's gonna plumb this, and then this will be our new fuel system. Next to building engines, this is my favorite part about building cars. Now, all I gotta do is pull this back out, clean the pipe, TIG weld it back together, put it back in here, build a bracket. Done. So I gotta do brakes, the rest of the fuel system, steering, paint the dash.
I'm working on the fuel system, and we want to run hardline the full length underneath the car just because it's more Sano and it flows better. Not going to call it perfection, but it might be Roadkill 55 Chevy good enough. Let's see. I needed to put a whoop-de-doo in this to clear this deal, to drop it down, to clear this body mount. Thing is now, I have to bend another one exactly like that one. And what's the chances that I can do that?
This is the mailbox scoop that's going on the hood of the gasser. This is the whole reason I built this car. This is like waiting for Christmas. I want this on the car. Bueno, like it.
Can we write Hemi on the side of this? Like get some cool 60s graphic? Hemi? There you go.
Okay, so this is why the scoop is clear now. Last night we mounted our yellow scoop right here without realizing that that was going to hit the front of the scoop. So then we cut the front of the scoop to clear that, and then we realized rain will go in there. So now we've made a new top. We're going to slide it forward about right there. Bend a new top, remount it. Now our scoop's clear.
I've got the fuel system completely mapped out and the hard lines bent, so today my goal is to get it connected to the engine at the front and the gas tank at the back, and then if I can finish that up, I'm going to move on to the steering column. I finished up my trick little bracket here. See, it holds the fuel tank vent here, goes to the inside of the car there, and this bolts to the fuel filler neck. Well, it's the end of the second day, and I'm sort of the last guy standing on the 55 project. I think I'm gonna hang out for a little while and try and wrap up my fuel system situation. All the other guys have hit the road to go deal with Mother's Day, which I'll probably do pretty soon as well. And then we'll be back at it Monday, crossing fingers for actual progress.
I wanted to get back to you. We have a truck that's leaving California on the 22nd.
If I say yes and the car's not ready, how much trouble am I in?
What I would ask is that if you're not going to be able to make it, let me know by the 20th or the morning of the 21st, because I'm sure that we can find another vehicle out of California to fill your spot if we need to.
So here's the plan. Don Schumacher, who we met in episode 30, invited us to any race we wanted to go to hang out in his pit. And I thought, good God, it would be amazing to get this car done and go hang out with Don Schumacher at a drag race. And the only one that works with our schedule is in May, and it's the Englishtown event. So we have to build it, make sure it runs, get it to Englishtown in 13 days so we can hang out with Don and then have a road trip adventure and film an episode of Roadkill.
What I'm doing is making these gussets that are gonna end up triangulating this bar to the main hoop and also the main hoop to the windshield bar. And so I'm having to take this piece of tubing and hand fish mouth it so that it fits nicely against the tubing. It's gotta fit really, really tight so that he can TIG weld it. I gotta have virtually no gap all the way around this grind.
All right, so here's the stress. In a Tri-5 Chevy, the frame rails run right about here. Well, you don't want to put a roll bar there, that's right where your feet go. So the bar comes way out here, and then you weld this outrigger to the frame, and then the bar comes down here and contacts it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the floor out so that we can access all sides of the steel. And then we'll weld the floor back in. We're nearing the end of the build here, and I always figured it would be something like the clutch not working or fuel pump or something that would stop us dead in our tracks. But right now, our Lexan windshield doesn't fit the car. We accidentally cut it too small. I need to call ProGlass to order a new front window, which is kind of a big deal because they make them one at a time. But before I do that, we're gonna test fit the back window to see if that one needs reordering too before I call. So, since yesterday, we got a lot done actually. We named the car, kind of a big deal, you know, because that'll help it run. And we got the seat frame done, the ignition box and the fuel panel are in. There's really about like 4 hours worth of wiring left, and then we can try to fire the engine. I think it's tomorrow. It feels like tomorrow. It feels like the day we're supposed to be leaving. But we're doing good. There hadn't really been any major hiccups. So if we can stay awake, we're gonna make it. There, I'm rested. I can go again.
So here's the deal on the shoulder bar. This is the roll cage kit for the Datsun. I can cut this bend off and that bend off and sleeve it in the middle and make our shoulder bar. And I've ransacked the shop, and our digital caliper that doesn't have digital readout tells me it's this size. So.
No.
Yes.
Oh no. There's so much work in this.
It's the only piece in the whole shop that fits.
This is it? The whole shop? There's nothing but...
Not even close. Also not even close. What is that, like shower piping? You saved the Datsun. All right, the Datsun lives. And now I have got to butt and sleeve both halves of the shoulder bar together. And this is the moment of truth where I'm actually gonna cut it and start that process. If it's too short right now, I cry like a girl. Roadkill aficionados, I will have you know, this came from the Rotsun. So the Rotsun is now saving the bacon of the 55 Chevy. This probably takes 2 people. I could be wrong, but it probably does. Finn.
I don't think we're gonna leave till tomorrow. The good news is, the guys that are transporting the car, somehow we suckered them into working on the car. So although they were gonna leave today, they're busy putting lights in the car and putting the hood on. So maybe they won't notice that we're probably not gonna leave for 24 hours later than they thought they were gonna leave.
What can we cross off? Seat mount. We're sitting in them.
Yes.
O2 bung, I brought it. Parking brake, not gonna happen. Rear view mirror, not happening here. Glove box.
Done.
Done. Gauges, no. Windshield, no. Rear window, no. Console plate, no. Adjust doors, no. Finish flares, no. Grind door welds.
Done.
Done. Okay.
Oh, this isn't so bad now, see?
Oh yeah, no problem.
There's only 20 or 30 more things on there.
It looks a lot like that.
We're fine.
It's 5 a.m., 2 days past when we were supposed to leave, and we're about to fire this thing up for the first time. We hope. We've already had fuel leaks, dead battery, wiring issues. That's all solved. Right now is supposed to be rank, vroom.
All right. Water pump's on. Ready? it says. All right, here we go. Look at that. Fired right up. There you go. That's off. 3 weeks of thrashing, lots of blisters on my hands from wiring until I'm, well, blistered. But now, I'm gonna try to go around the block. All ready?
The clutch is still engaged.
Well, that was the worst, best ride of my entire life. The brakes don't work, the clutch sticks, it rides horribly, and I don't care. 'Cause look at this.
Man, that was a lot of wrenching over a lot of time, but we finally got it done. And you're gonna come back to the next episode of Roadkill where we're actually gonna hit the road headed to Charlotte for Hot Rod Power Tour. How many times have we, finished this car for the first time, for the last time?
Is this the second attempt or the third attempt?
Yeah, we're gonna build it in 3 days.
This is completely embarrassing. I have no idea where reverse is on this transmission. So I'm gonna go get a shift knob that has the pattern on it so I can find out.
Just want to get in there and swim around for about a week, making motor noises because it doesn't run right now.
I just want to put 8 more screws in it and be done with it.
It's not a bad idea.
Oh, it's only 1 a.m.
It's early.
It's half day. Oh,